Thank you, Acting Deputy President. I also rise to speak in support of Senator Hume and the Tackling the Gender Super Gap Bill. This bill amends the existing legislation, including the Superannuation Industry Supervision Act 1993 and the Income Tax Assessment Act 1997, to provide couples with the opportunity to evenly share their superannuation balances. Now, I fully support this bill, and I commend my colleague Senator Hume on bringing it to the floor of this chamber. And the reason is this: it sends a message to the Australian people that families are best placed to make financial decisions that best suit their own households. Now, this bill does this by creating a mechanism, a simple mechanism, to allow couples to split their collective superannuation balances evenly during their relationship on an ongoing annual basis. It gives spouses the option. It gives them an option, gives them the choice to split their collective superannuation balances evenly on an ongoing annual basis. Now, to ensure equity between couples, the bill contains a spousal redistribution limit to ensure that the transferring spouse does not end up with less money in their fund than the receiving spouse after the rollover. Why are we doing this today? Now, there are very few things that I agree with those on the other side, but on these points I can agree. Now, let me share a little quote from the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on the 12th of September 2024, speaking to the Paid Parental Leave Amendment Bill. And he said, No mother should be penalised for taking time away from work to do the most important job there is. Now, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Being a mother is the most important job a mother can do. Katie Gallagher, on the 20th of March 2024, in response to questions without notice, said as part of the fact that throughout their careers, paid and as family carers, primarily carers and families, they have either had career breaks or been out of the workforce for long periods of time. And during that time, when they've not been earning, when they've been caring, they have not been accumulating superannuation. Let's turn to Senator Jess Walsh. On the 18th of September 2024, and also in response to the Paid Parental Leave Amendment Bill, that the inequality in the gender superannuation gap is linked to two major factors: the gender pay gap and the career interruptions that are caused when people, predominantly women, take time out of work to raise children. So here we are with this important bill trying to address these issues. Now, the important part of the bill to ensure a spousal redistribution limit levels the playing field for families where one parent has taken time out from the workforce to raise children. And as I said, this is one of the most important jobs a parent will ever do, and we in the Coalition respect that. It's also a mechanism that prevents spouses from unfairly taking too much of their partner's savings. This is an equalisation measure. So to ensure that the amount transferred from one spouse to another does not attract or avoid any additional taxes, it's treated not as a contribution, but as an amount rolled out over. This is fair. This bill assures couples that they will face no penalty nor financial disincentive to transfer money from one account to the other. And again, this tax provision signals to parents that they should not be penalised for making choices about who goes to work and who stays home to raise children, because we are the party for families. It's important to stress that this bill only gives couples the option to share their superannuation balances. It does not force them to do so. This bill is not about dictating how couples are to manage their superannuation funds, because we are also the party for choice. Importantly, this bill prescribes how much superannuation money. It does not prescribe how much superannuation money a couple can transfer to each other. Aside from the rule on spousal redistribution limit, which limits rollovers to equalisation, the transferring spouse can transfer as much or as little as they like. So the bill reinforces the liberal principle of choice by giving the couples the freedom to share the savings of their respective superannuation accounts with as little impediment or financial disincentive as possible. This bill recognises the importance of family. It makes it easier for spouses to manage their superannuation finances at all stages of their relationship. and it ensures that any parent can be financially rewarded for the unpaid domestic work that they do for their family. Given that women typically shoulder the domestic responsibilities of caring for children or elderly parents, they are more likely to take time out of the paid workforce. And as a result, they generally accrue less superannuation than men over their working lives. While estimates vary, women retire with significantly lower superannuation balances than men, between 20 to 25% lower. The gap is worse for older women approaching retirement, and this bill aims to address that. Over nearly a decade of recorded data, these gaps have hardly closed, despite progress on many other fronts, including average weekly earnings. And I would also like to acknowledge, alongside my colleague Senator Blythe, the alarming fact that women over 55 are the fastest growing group experiencing homelessness in Australia. And I call on the Albanese government to ensure that all homes released under the Housing Australia Future Fund go first to vulnerable women and children. If anything good is going to come from the HAF, surely this should be it. And I did ask in Senate estimates just a few weeks ago whether this would be the case, but we got no answers on that. Back to Senator Hume's bill, facilitating the sharing of superannuation balances between spouses ensures that more parents can retire on an equal financial footing, giving choice back to families. The Coalition has a proud history of contributing to better design of the superannuation system, starting with the significant contributions of the late Senator Richard Alston in the early 1990s. To ensure that the impending superannuation scheme worked for all Australians, not just the unions. Now, amongst other things, our superannuation reforms in government ensured that the workers' funds followed them from job to job without incurring more fees to the worker. And this is what we're trying to do within the family too, within the household, recognising that the household is the best place to make financial decisions that work for them, and they should not be penalised to do so. Which is why one of the qualifiers in this particular bill is to ensure that any rollovers between spouses does not incur any additional taxes or fees. And we also made superannuation funds' performance more transparent by listing their fees and performance on the Australian Tax Office website, again promoting the choice of the worker. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Labor and what they do with superannuation. The Labor's approach to super. Now, Labor likes to claim that they invented superannuation. If anybody had the privilege of listening to the condolence speeches to the late Senator Richard Alston just a few months ago, we heard about the very, very significant contributions that he and the Coalition made to ensuring that this superannuation, as I said before, worked for all Australians. The problem is that the superannuation system that Labor has taken a hold of has invented a system that has structurally disadvantaged women. When Labor tied superannuation to wages, lower super balances for women became a deliberate design feature of the super system. And so this is where we're at now, and we are trying to rectify that. Now, the government's solution to attempting to close the superannuation gap is by paying super on paid parental leave. Now, this comes at a cost of $1.1 billion over 4 years. And it's only going to slightly improve the gender super gap. So what we're trying to do here, and what Senator Hume is trying to do here with this private member's bill, is to provide an equitable solution, an intervention that will address the gender super gap, something which addresses this structural disadvantage for women, but importantly is a choice for households to take up if they choose to, and if it works for them. So I highly commend this bill to the Senate. I think Senator Hume's done a terrific job on bringing the conversation back to families and households. And tackling this gender super gap bill is the next step, ensuring that Australian superannuation is fairer and more flexible for parents, and particularly for women. Make sure that the hard-earned savings of Australian families in superannuation are working for them and for their family. And I do believe that this bill quintessentially reflects the Liberal Party values of personal choice and family. And I am proud to support it, and I commend it to the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.